Hello, I'm Jan Shravinsky. Welcome on board the Eastern Express. And as always, I hope you enjoy the journey. On this episode, let's talk about religion, politics, and that magical little Venn diagram where the two overlap and form a mushroom cloud labeled Russia. The Estonian parliament recently decided that if your religious institution is taking cues from foreign puppet masters who incite hatred, promote war, or just generally behave like they're auditioning for Call of Duty Crusade Ops, then sorry, but you're getting cut off. Estonia has passed a new law that says, hey, Moscow, get your hands off our churches. Specifically, the law targets the Estonian Orthodox Church, which currently answers to the Moscow Patriarchate, also known as the Russian Orthodox Church, also known as Putin's holier-than-thou fan club. And it's run by a KGB agent in a bishop hat. So without further ado, let's take a look at how his history unfolds.
Estonia is cracking down on the influence of the Russian Orthodox Church. The country's parliament recently passed a bill which requires religious organizations to abandon foreign institutions that incite violence and hatred. This means that the Estonian Orthodox Church is required to sever ties with the Moscow Patriarchate.
We have repeatedly explained how these processes will take place. If someone really does not make changes to their statutes, then there is a possibility that the Minister of the Interior will submit an application for compulsory closure.
Not everyone in Estonia is happy with this new bill. Although virtually no one questions on whose side the Moscow Orthodox Church is, and that it does have serious influence over other churches in the region, there have been concerns about how this latest law could be abused.
It allows the Ministry of the Interior to say what can be said in a church or what the internal structures of a church are. Then this is in the most direct contradiction with the principles of freedom of religion.
The Moscow Patriarchate and its leader, Patriarch Kirill, have been staunch supporters of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Russian Patriarch himself has been entered into Ukraine's wanted list for violating the country's territorial integrity. Patriarch Kirill and Vladimir Putin are quite close allies, with the former calling the latter's leadership a blessing. Previously, the Estonian parliament already designated the Russian Orthodox Church as an institution that sponsors Russia's military aggression.
And now let's zone in on the East-splaining portion of our show. Estonia and Russia share a very long history that is not all sunshine and rainbows, as is often the case with Russia's neighbors in general. The current political tensions between Moscow and Tallinn, however, date back to the establishment of the modern Estonian state in the year 1920. Here is more.
Diplomatic ties between Russia and Estonia were first established in 1920, after a war of independence against a forming Soviet Union resulted in an Estonian victory. At the time, Moscow renounced any territorial claims and recognized the small country's sovereignty. This freedom was short-lived, however, as in 1940, as part of the Ribbentrop-Molotov Pact, the Soviet Union laid its hands on Estonia once more. From that year all the way to the fall of the Soviet Union, Estonia was part of the USSR and not an independent state. When the Iron Curtain fell and the Red Behemoth breathed its dying breath, Estonia regained its freedom in 1991. Since then, Tallinn has been doing everything in its power to distance itself from Russia and guarantee that a repeat of 1940 will not take place. Despite opposition from Moscow, Estonia joined both the European Union and NATO, firmly solidifying its place as a Western country. Although relations between the two countries were not great after 1991, they essentially collapsed in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine when Moscow designated Estonia as an unfriendly state.
And now, as always, let us examine the story in greater detail. Now, this scuffle isn't just your average bureaucratic free-for-all, it's a seismic moment in the age-old battle between state sovereignty and divine sermonizing. Because the Moscow Patriarchate isn't just any church. It is led by Patriarch Kirill, aka Russia's most devout warlord in robes, who called Putin a gift from God. Which, by the way, raises the question, did God leave the gift receipt? Kirill has publicly blessed the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which is certainly a bold choice for someone with access to copious amount of holy water. And Estonia, a NATO member who really doesn't want a repeat of Soviet history, is like, thanks, but no thanks, we'll pass on the blessed artillery. Estonia's new law mandates that religious organizations must cut ties with foreign powers that promote violence or threaten national security. And while some are concerned this is a blow to religious freedom, Estonia argues it's a necessary step to preserve constitutional order. Apparently, when the church you're praying in also doubles as a geopolitical influencer, things get, complicated. Kind of like finding out your pastor has a side hustle as the Kremlin's hype man. The law still needs the president's signature, but assuming that happens, the Estonian Orthodox Church will have to find a new spiritual home, preferably one that doesn't double as a Kremlin satellite office. Estonia is drawing a line in the incense-scent sand, and if your prayers come with a blessing of a nuclear missile, you might want to take it up with someone who isn't on an international wanted list. And look, I get it. Severing from your religious parent organization is hard. But maybe, just maybe, it's okay to unfriend the guy who thinks divine intervention means mass drone strikes. And now we're moving on to Eastern News Flash, a series of all the other stories from the East that you really don't want to miss. A report by Reuters warns that Poland is currently undergoing a massive cyber attack by Russia. The Polish Minister of Digital Affairs believes that this is an attempt by Moscow to influence the upcoming Polish presidential elections.
Minister Krzysztof Gawkowski has called the cyber attack, quote, unprecedented, as it is almost double the size of the danger posed by such Russian interference in 2024. There are currently roughly 10 cyber attacks being carried out against Poland every minute. The attacks have apparently been focused on a wide range of critical infrastructure in Poland, including power suppliers and state institutions. Cyber warfare is part of the playbook that Russia utilizes when it comes to what is commonly referred to as hybrid warfare. This cyber interference is meant to not only just sow panic and paralyze the functioning of a target state, but also spread disinformation. All of this combined may lead to an election result which Russia would prefer, although the Kremlin's exact plans in many of these scenarios remain unknown.
Lithuania intends to invest more than $1 billion in ramping up fortifications along its border with Russia and Belarus. The new defense plan foresees the deployment of mines along several sectors of the border.
Vilnius is determined not to be left behind by the other Baltic states and their Eastern European partners when it comes to improving its defense. Over the next decade, it will spend $1.2 billion to block or at least slow down a possible invasion from Russia's Kaliningrad or from the territory of Belarus. Around $900 million from this sum will be used to purchase and install several anti-tank mines to deter any potential aggression. Vilnius has put high priority on helping improve the defense of the Suwałki corridor, a stretch of land that connects Poland with Lithuania, which is seen as a crucial section of NATO's eastern flank. This decision by Lithuania comes as many Western intelligence agencies have been warning of a potential large-scale war in Europe within the next 5 years.
Chechen dictator Ramzan Kadyrov has reportedly asked Vladimir Putin whether he can resign as the leader of the Chechen Republic. Under Kadyrov's leadership since 2007, Chechnya has become one of the world's most dangerous and repressive regions.
Ramzan Kadyrov is an infamous figure not just abroad but in Russia itself. The recent rumors surrounding his possible resignation have come as a huge surprise to the Russian public. Although this information has been conflicting, on one hand, Kadyrov has told journalists that he has asked to be removed from his position, and on the other he says he has not made the decision as to whether he'll remain as the leader of the Chechen Republic. He has also seemingly washed his hands clean of the affair by saying that the decision rests with Vladimir Putin himself. This is not the first time that Kadyrov has asked for his own resignation. He made similar statements in 2016, 2017 and 2022, according to Russian media reports. In all cases, his request was not approved. During his 17-year reign over the region, Kadyrov imposed a totalitarian regime over Chechnya, with human rights groups condemning him over reports of torture, forced disappearances and extrajudicial killings.
And for this episode of Eastern Express, it's the end of the line. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.